This is the Transforming Anxiety podcast with mindfulness teacher Kelly Hanlon McCormick. And today is episode number 259, Macro versus Micro People Pleasing. My intention for this conversation is that we better understand people pleasing for ourselves and for those we're in relationship with, and that we have a new way of relating to each other because of it. Welcome in. It's the Transforming Anxiety podcast, episode number 259, Macro versus Micro People Pleasing. I'm so glad you're here. Hey there. Welcome in today. Folks, we have 3 weeks left of school. And I have to say, for one of the first times ever, I think I'm ready for summer. Feels like it's time. I'm in the mood. My kids are ready. Just things feel aligned. Or like I'm finally aligning myself with the calendar and with the seasons and just going with it instead of fighting it. I don't know. That could be too. We're doing it though. This year is almost in the books. Yes. So, okay, let's get into this today. People pleasing, but people pleasing in a macro versus a micro way. I recently stumbled across something. I was seeing this in myself. I've been seeing this with clients. Then I had a moment where I had this total aha that there is more than one kind of people pleasing, which, I mean, I know, duh, Kel, right? And I thought I wanted to talk about it with you because, well, personally, I find this kind of fascinating that there are some people pleasers who operate on a bigger macro level, and there are others who operate on a more micro level. And those two people pleasers may not overlap at all, winding up not relating to the people pleasing concept or each other around people pleasing whatsoever. Even though, as we will see here, they are the same thing. And I think it's helpful to see this differently so that we can see it better. Yeah? All right, let's start actually by talking about people pleasing in general, and then we're going to dig into the macro versus micro versions of this. People pleasing is when you prioritize the needs and the wants of others over your own needs and wants, right? Where you seek to accommodate the people around you, usually at the expense of yourself, right? It's something that costs the people pleaser a great deal. They may feel exhausted, depleted, ignored, dismissed, and resentful. People pleasers put themselves last. They're always at the bottom of their own priority list. So you'll see them, or you'll feel this yourself if this is you, you'll see them running around on empty. It's like their gas tank is always on fumes. Not because they're necessarily physically exhausted, although that can happen, of course, but it's more so because their buckets are never full. Like when you're pouring from an overflowing bucket, you're in good shape. You've got more than enough to offer, and it's the runoff that's going to your family, your friends, your colleagues, your neighbors, the stranger behind you in line, like you name it. And great, right? But people pleasers are trying to pour from empty buckets. Their minds and their hearts aren't filled up, and they're blocking themselves from that essential piece because they're convinced they're too busy, right? They don't have enough time, or worse, here's the real kicker, that they're not worth it. People pleasers often grapple with things like low self-worth, undermining their own wants and needs, looking to the people around them for direction and for requests so that they know what they need to do. People pleasers rarely say no. They rarely assert themselves. People pleasers usually feel enormously valuable when they're complying with or serving others. They might start a lot of sentences with sorry, but, or I'm sorry, when there's no need for them to be apologizing. It's almost like they're just apologizing for taking up space and being present. People pleasers often have very little self-awareness. This is a biggie because they may not even know they're prioritizing other people over themselves, or They may think it's not a big deal to do things for others because, like, oh, well, they don't really know what they want or need anyway for themselves. Also of note, people pleasers are faking it. They're not being honest a lot of the time because they kind of disappear into the wants and needs of those around them. So quick sidebar here. You've heard me say this, and I will keep saying this. I think the opposite of anxiety is honesty. And this is exactly the kind of honesty I mean. When we think about being honest on the surface, we think about not lying. And this isn't just about not lying. It's about being more you. It's about being you. It's about knowing and understanding yourself. It's about living in a way that's aligned with what you need and want. It's about being willing to be yourself, not move around the world trying to do what's expected or fulfill obligations or showing up how you think you should show up, but about honesty. You, the real you. So when I say people pleasers are faking it, I mean they're kind of being dishonest. And okay, listen, I should start saying we. I'm in this boat. I'm what Taylor calls a pathological people pleaser. So I'll stop saying they or you. Like this isn't totally me. We are being dishonest. Okay? We are faking it. Yeah? All right. Another thing to note, many people pleasers learned this skill as children because this is a really good way to keep the peace or get attention or feel loved. It's something that children can be really, really good at from a young age. When we grow up in environments where love is conditional, meaning we only feel loved when we're behaving or when we do something, like when we get our chores done or we get good grades, or if we feel like our path to being loved is contingent on the people around us being happy and having their needs fulfilled, we learn very quickly, and it gets cemented in there, that our best chance to earn love, because it is earned in these situations, and really on a more primal level, our survival is based on being sure the people around us have their wants and needs met first. When that happens, we get love or praise or attention. So we figure out this is the way to do things. Them first, then us. Now, this is a wide spectrum on this stuff. It's not like you had to have had a grossly heinous situation as a kiddo to fall into this maladaptive coping mechanism. Many of us, like pretty much all of us, pick up on little bits of approval somehow, somewhere, some way or another, and we like it. It feels good, right? And we start connecting dots. If I do this for them, they like me. And then we can start making that mean I will make sure they're taken care of so I can get more of that. Like you can see how even gold stars from a teacher or accolades from a coach could morph into this kind of coping mechanism, right? It's not like the people in your life had to be horrible monsters for us to figure out that this kind of sort of quote unquote works as a way to get approval. For others, it's pretty obvious, right? In other cases, it's pretty obvious. It's like, you are good, I love you. You are bad, you're punished. So in those cases, it becomes very black and white, and we really get the message that I have to make people happy around me or else, right? Okay, so people pleasing. Yeah, making sense so far. I hope. I'm guessing none of this is brand new information. Just maybe it's in one spot in a few quick minutes. So there we go, right? A little primer on people pleasing. Okay, so let's talk about this on a macro scale and then on a micro scale. Again, this is about awareness. This is about seeing how and where you maybe kind of sort of probably likely do this. Okay, this is all of us. And again, it was very eye-opening to me to recognize that there's a pretty big difference in how we people please, like the direction we focus this effort. So macro, This is big picture, broad strokes, like globally speaking kind of stuff. We really care and we get really wrapped up in what other people think. So we're invested in making people think highly of us or make them happy by the things we're doing in big ways. Meaning, starts with good grades, right? Graduating with a good degree from a great school. Fitting in. Doing what's expected of us from both a societal norm perspective, but also this can be and or a family of origin perspective. Like maybe everyone in your family is in healthcare or education, or they're all engineers. So it kind of becomes the family business, right? Of course you're going to be a doctor or a nurse. Of course you're going to be a teacher. Why not do engineering? Everyone else has. So you live your life in ways that are expected and you follow the path that's been set out for you. Again, whether this was a societal path and or if this is your family of origin. So when you succeed, right, based on those values, those norms, those traditions. So like you graduate, you get a job, you get married, you have a family, the house, the car, the vacations, the 401k, the retirement, right? All of it. Just a script we're following. And we're good at it, doing the done thing, right? Rinse and repeat. Yes. This is macro people pleasing. The big picture that was preordained basically upon your birth. And this is like a Monet painting. You have to scoot way back. You have to see the whole thing, like years and decades at a time, put together. And yep, that's it. That's what I was supposed to do. Nailing it. So that's one way of people pleasing. Like basically, I want to live my life in a way that people around me are happy, that I'm doing what's expected. Basically, that I am what is expected of me. Yes. Now, okay, let's talk about micro. This is more subtle. It's the same thing, but maybe instead of those broad strokes of caring what people think and creating an overarching life that fits the mold of family and societal expectations, maybe this looks more like if someone makes a request and lets me know that they want me to do something for dinner tonight, I will make it happen. Or if someone can't figure out how to get everyone where they need to go, I'll volunteer to pick up their kid from practice and make sure they get home safely. If someone needs a little extra help on the work project, I'll stay late and pitch in, or I'll log in from home after the kids are in bed. It's like these little insidious ways that we bend over backwards to accommodate other people and ideally make them like us, right? We make their lives more convenient. We want to please them in some way. We want them to feel something about us. We may not care what they think about our tattoos or that we quit drinking or that we let our kid wear mismatched clothes. That may not bother us at all. But if they want to meet at 9 a.m. for coffee, it won't even occur to us to say that 10 a.m. would be better. No way. We'll be there at 9 a.m., right? For sure. It doesn't matter what kind of pretzel we have to contort ourselves into to make that happen. 9 a.m. it is, damn it. Does that make sense? These larger and smaller ways of people pleasing. I was having a conversation with a friend not long ago, and this is what led to this huge aha moment because she was talking about being really caught in what other people were thinking, like these big ways. This house they were going to buy. Should we have this boat? Should we sell it? Right? And I was like, dude, who cares? Like, go live your life. Be happy. Enjoy what you and your husband have created. And then literally, same conversation. Not 10 minutes later, I was describing all of the gymnastics I was trying to do to get the evening taken care of, make sure all the people had what they needed. And she started laughing. She was like, hey, what you doing over there? Why would you do it like that? And we recognized it's like we're doing the same thing, right? Just in different scopes. So it is the same, but I'm hip to the idea that maybe people have different tendencies where people pleasing is concerned, right? Maybe it runs in different directions. Based on what? I'm not sure. Maybe what we think is most important or what was drilled into us as kids, where we place value for ourselves, maybe our own definitions of success. Who knows? But I think it's a thing. I'm seeing it pop up now that I'm aware it could be a thing. What do you think? Do you relate to one of these? Do you relate to both? It's kind of interesting, yeah? All right, a few quotes about people pleasing. I always love hearing from writers and teachers and experts and psychologists on this stuff, just hearing different words around the same thing. So this is what Melody, is it Beatty? This is from her book, Codependent No More. She wrote, ever since people first existed, they've been doing all the things we label codependent. They have worried themselves sick about other people. They have tried to help in ways that didn't help. They have said yes when they meant no. They have tried to make other people see things their way. They have bent over backwards, avoiding hurting people's feelings, and in doing so, have hurt themselves. They've been afraid to trust their feelings. They have believed lies and then felt betrayed. They have wanted to get even and punish others. They have felt so angry they wanted to kill. They have struggled for their rights while other people said they didn't have any. They have worn sackcloth because they didn't believe they deserved silk. So, yeah, we need some other conversation around codependency, but you see how closely this mirrors what we're talking about? People pleasing, right? Let me ignore myself, dismiss myself, disappear. And what do you need? How can I make you feel better, right? All right, remember what I said earlier about honesty? How it's the opposite of anxiety? So this is from Victoria Ooms. She wrote, true intimacy comes from vulnerability, and vulnerability comes from authenticity. That's from her book, Do It For You, How to Stop People Pleasing and Find Peace. Yup. All right, how about this? This is so good. I'm going to mispronounce this name. I'm sorry for that. It's Elelwani Anita Ravhuhali, perhaps. She wrote this. In the cycle of being afraid to disappoint those whose opinions we hold in high regard, we often willingly open ourselves up for self-disappointment. My desperate need to be loved and feel accepted by my family led me into making a decision where I was willing to make everyone else happy except myself. That's in her book, From Seeking to Radiating Love. Okay, one more, because I think this really makes the point. This is from Tracy Malone. She said, people pleasing is really fearing people's reactions, rejection, or abandonment. So let's end with that. This is worth staying with for a moment and just looking at together. We fear people's reactions to us, to what we're doing, to what we want and need, to who we are. Because it's far easier and safer, really, to just fulfill their wants and needs as well as we can. It's like, let me do your bidding. Let me try and make you happy. At least then we protect ourselves from a potentially negative reaction from someone we love, someone we seek admiration and love from, right? What if we get rejected, abandoned? I say this because it makes sense, yeah? Why we do these things. Why we'd go ahead and ignore ourselves, dismiss our own wants and needs. It safeguards us from rejection, from people's reaction, and from potential abandonment. Sure, bring it. That sounds good to me. I get it. And it's one of those things that works till it doesn't work. This is a good way to build resentment. It's a good way to feel completely depleted emotionally and mentally. It's a good way to disconnect and distance yourself from the people in your life. And it's a good way to feel as if you're moving through the world pretending to be someone you're not. That's what this is, for sure. So, macro versus micro levels of people pleasing. All different kinds of ways we abandon ourselves. So fun, right? I know, but worth looking at, worth knowing about, worth asking yourself, what is going on here? What am I up to here? This kind of awareness is so good. It's so helpful. All right, that's it for today. People pleasing through a new lens. Let me hear from you. How does this show up for you? What does it look like? How does it feel? Yeah, not great. Not great. I know. You can hit me up at featuredup.com/transforming anxiety. There's a link to that in the show notes too. All right. I will see you at the same time, same place next week for more transforming anxiety. And until then, please take care. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, for doing this work alongside me. Thank you for sharing this with your friends and your family, anyone who, could use the support and the guidance, who could use these teachings and practices. Thank you for sharing your stories with me, telling me about your experiences and asking your questions. I'm here with you. Let's do this together. Transforming anxiety.